G'day everyone, I've had a few people requesting these kind of videos on how to play like Germany or the Soviets or whoever, so I thought I'd make one for you today. Also, if there's a particular topic that you want me to cover, just let me know in the comments. For context as well, I'm going to be showing you my historic Germany build, so if you're playing just a historical game where you want to start as the bad guys and take over the world, or if you're playing in like a historical multiplayer game, then this build should help you out. There's going to be quite a lot of emphasis on the setup in the early part of the game because that's when it's really important, so just pay attention and follow along as best you can. The first thing that you're going to want to do is open up your Steam Workshop and uninstall any mods that have the historic version of the German flag from 1936. It literally is not needed. It's just cringe and weird, and don't do it. Okay, so we've got a new game in 1936 as Germany. The first thing you want to do is set your focus as Rhineland, and then I want you to go ahead and set up your intelligence agency. I also have a spy agency video, which I'll link below if you're not sure how to use the system. As soon as you get your first spy, you're going to want to put them in France and start building up that network. Also, once you've completed the local recruitment centers, you want to recruit the Soviet spies every single time. We can also just finish up the existing navy here if you want, or you can delete them and put them all on convoys. It's completely up to you. In terms of your production, you're going to want 15 factories on infantry equipment. We're going to add 1 factory on trains. Going to keep our 2 factories on support equipment and trucks. We're also going to add a line of 2 factories on anti-aircraft guns. Keep the 1 factory on artillery. Then we're going to delete our tank production, CAS production, and whatever that plane is production. And we're going to add 5 factories onto our fighters. The reason you want to be building fighters from the very beginning is because we need to paradrop into the UK to take them out. So that's why we're also not worrying about the Navy. This is a much cheaper and easier way of going about it, where we're not going to have to worry about trying to get naval supremacy. It's much easier to beat them in the air war. Next, set up just 3 or 4 stacks of civilian factories. For our research, just go ahead with your normal industry techs and your electrical engineering. And then you're also going to want to get the survivability studies tech in the air tree, and then we will go for our 1938 medium tank chassis. It's also worth mentioning with your industry techs, you want to go for, you basically want to start researching dispersed and construction 2 as fast as you can. We are going to use the bonus from the 4-year plan to get the level 3 industry techs much faster than you would otherwise. With our divisions, we are going to go ahead and split them up. So we'll have our infantry on the Polish border, and then we've got our, I guess, quote unquote special forces. You'll end up converting 4 of these divisions to your mountaineers. So they'll be your volunteers early in the game, and then you've got your 2 leftover tank divisions. You can just leave them in Berlin. You also want to keep a stack of 12 divisions of just your normal infantry template training at all times. As soon as they get to 20% training, or whatever the minimum is, deploy them instantly, pop them on a front line and exercise them. We need to get our manpower in the field increased also as quick as we can. And finally, the last thing is, don't forget to change your occupation template and your occupation law to local police force. That one is the best trade-off. It reduces the amount of manpower, and it also will reduce your reduce resistance enough for what you need early in the game. Double check that you've got your trade all sorted out, and then you can start the game. Also, just a note on the decisions tab, you don't ever want to cancel the MEFO bills. The bonus they give you is actually really good to have, so take advantage of that for as long as you can. And the only thing that we're going to want to do is improve working conditions, which I'll show you in a bit. So in broad strokes, what the plan is that we are going to wait to do Anschluss and the Czech techs till later in the game. By that point, they would have had a chance to do some of their industrial focuses, which is going to give us more factories. We're also going to try and get maximum collaboration government on France, and then we'll also be able to get probably 2 levels of collaboration on Poland, depending if you forget about it and miss some of those miss some of those operations. I'm also going to show you how to cap France as quick as possible, and then paradrop in and capitulate the UK before any of their puppets get called in. And then we can turn our full attention to the Soviets. Keep in mind, if you're in a multiplayer game that forbids you paradropping, like for example, in my community, whenever we do historical multiplayer games, you can't actually sea lion or invade the UK unless the Axis control Gibraltar and the Suez. So take that into consideration. Don't break the rules of any games you're playing. Be nice, be friendly. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, just merge your fleet together and put them on naval exercises, and also merge your air force together into one single airport. We can merge all of them and likewise just exercise them. And then we also had our intelligence agency get set up, go for SPILs, localized training centers, invisible ink, and then your cryptology across to completing this tree here for the machine assisted decryption. So once you have your first spy, honestly, you don't have access to the Soviet spy at the beginning. So just go ahead and pop that spy in France. And then you want to wait until you get that 50% intel strength, and then you can start doing the collaboration government mission. Also, once Rhineland is complete, go straight over to Army Innovations. Also, with your political power that you have right now, come down here and get Martin Bormann as the silent workhorse. We are going to get the silent workhorse, and then we're going to go for improved worker conditions. And then for our second advisor, we're actually going to get Rudolf Hess, which adds another 15% political power. Some people say it's not worth it, but we're going to need a lot of political power early in the game. So having that extra political power coming through is worth it. Remember to be deploying these divisions that are training. Even if all 12 of them aren't deployed yet or aren't finished, just deploy them. You'll fill them up to 24. It's no worries. Also, don't forget to fully motorize your main army. That was one thing, if you know anything about history, that the Germans really struggled with, so we're not making those mistakes today. As soon as you get your 100 political power, just jump straight onto improved worker conditions. The benefit of doing that here is it's going to bring you up to 100% stability. And once you get to 100% stability, you're going to get an extra 4% political power gain, minus 2% consumer goods, and an extra 7% factory and dockyard output. Short-term loss, long-term gain, it's well worth doing. And also remember to recruit those Soviet spies, because otherwise you will not be able to put collaboration governments in the Soviet Union. As soon as your survivability studies is finished, jump straight over and start researching on that 38 tank chassis. And then with your other research slot, you can come back in here and go to your next level in mechanical computing. Once you've got the option to work on your cryptology, I just like to go for the Soviet cryptology to begin with because it will take the longest. After Army Innovations, go for Treaty with the USSR. Once you've completed your machine tools, go straight onto the dispersed industry. Once you've got your next 150 political power, come in here and jump on.
Well, you gotta march right up to this woman, right? You look her right in the eye. You lean forward, right? Just a little, almost all the way. Then you let her like lean forward just another little bit until you're just a lips distance away from each other. And then you just tell her how much you hate her.
Hi, Rudolf S. Once you've completed construction 1, just jump straight onto construction 2. You want to, like, there is a penalty for this tech, but you're going to want to do that for both the construction and industry ones. All right, beautiful. The Spanish Civil War has kicked off. So what you're going to want to do is we are going to send them volunteers, and we're also going to send them an attaché as soon as we have the 100 political power. Once you have the 100 political power and you've sent the attaché, that's going to give you the option to go to war economy. So that's what the next lot of political power is going to go to. Make sure you send them air volunteers as well. Now, with the air volunteers, we can send them 2 squadrons. So select 2 of your fullest tactical bomber squadrons, put them on close air support, and then put 1 on each of the regions. You basically want to cover as much of the front lines as possible to be helping out the nationalists. You're going to end up bringing in a lot of air XP. The other thing that you are going to want to do here is go ahead and send them a lend-lease. We're going to basically delete our close air support, and we are going to lend-lease them 100 fighters that should be in your stockpile here, as well as the close air support. That's just going to help you get a little bit of an extra trickle of air XP coming in once you send your attaché. Now you have the option of the German-Soviet treaty. We'll accept that. The next focus you want to go to is Army Innovations 2. You need to do this right now rather than the 4-year plan, otherwise we'll mess up the bonuses. Come into your research. You'll have the 100% bonus has been applied here. Just change your research that was on the tank chassis to something else, and then change it back. And now it's gone from like, what, 400 days or whatever it was, down to 250. So that's how you sort of rush techs as well, if you didn't know how to do that. Now that our 3 divisions have arrived, you can go ahead and, again, you can promote a low-level field marshal if you want to. That's optional. You want to fully motorize these guys. I like to focus on taking out the northern pockets first, put them on aggressive and just have them attack. Now, to make sure that they actually keep their equipment while you're training all these other divisions, make the division priority to be elite. That helps. But on the right hand side, we've got your theaters. You can go ahead and change your equipment priority or reinforcement priority here to high as well. And that's just going to basically make sure that these divisions get their supplies that they need. The other thing that you can do here, which is going to help you out a lot, open up your recruitment tab and set the high priority for your garrisons and operations. I do this pretty much every game anyway, and you should be doing that too. While we're on the topic, you also want to come into your infantry template and remove your engineers. So what that's going to do is, you couldn't really see it before, but we were like 800 support equipment in the hole. Now that's going to give us a surplus, about 1,000. And that means that we're going to be able to do our operations that we need support equipment for. Speaking of, we can go ahead and hire our Soviet spy, put your second spy in Paris, come along and prepare the collaboration government, which you can see we need support equipment and guns for. But because we have the priority set to high, any equipment that's being produced will be split between this and our volunteers, and they don't really drag that much. So hit on commence when ready and automatically repeat and click prepare. Now, there's a couple of things that we're trying to do here. We want to use our political power to send an attaché and get to war economy, but we are also going to want to get the elusive gentleman. So basically in that order, go to war economy first, then the elusive gentleman. The other thing that you're going to want to do with your mountaineer template, just to maximize the XP that you're getting, you're going to want to come in here and basically just increase the width of this template to be, I mean, maybe around 40 width. Basically, the wider your division is, the more XP you're going to get from the combat in Spain. Now that we have some air XP as well, you can actually jump into your production menu, get rid of all these. Firstly, add a line for transport planes. You want to have 5 factories on that. So any factories that we pick up will trickle onto those transport planes. Also add on an extra factory for your civilian trains, trucks, support equipment, and then just bump your AT up. And then this is all sort of future-proofing this, sort of automating your production a little bit. Then add on 25 factories for your aircraft. Come into your fighter template, and then what we're going to do is add on 1 cannons 2, or 1 double cannon, 2 cannon 1. I don't know the best way to describe this. Be adding on 1 section of cannons and 1 section of light machine guns. We've got the engine level 2, and then just pop on 1 armor plate. Make sure that your picture lines up, and then you can go ahead and update your production. Again, we've got the option to recruit more spies, get a Soviet one. Perfect. Now, Army Innovations 2 has just been completed. If we check our research tab, you can actually see that we've got 61 days from this tech being completed, which means that we'll be able to go on to we'll be able to start researching the Dispersed Industry 2 by the time the 4-year plan is finished in 70 days, meaning that 100% bonus will then be applied to Dispersed Industry 3 and Construction 3. And we can jump on to War Economy. So now that Dispersed Industry 1 has finished, we need to make sure that we go straight onto the next level. If we had have waited 8 days, we would have actually missed out on getting the bonus applied to the level 3 tech. So yeah, that's very important to be on top of that. Now that the 4-year plan is done, we want to come down and align Romania and Hungary, and then eventually we'll integrate the war economies. It actually gives you a crazy amount of factories, manpower, everything once you integrate them and make them your puppets. So this is definitely my preferred path to go for. Once we come through and once we align Romania and Hungary, then we're going to come across and do the autarky focus, if that's how you pronounce it. And then we're going to go down for our research slot via the right side, which gives us all those free civs. After we do that, then we can come back over, do Anschluss down through the Sudetenland and get Czechoslovakia, and then we can do Danzig War. That's pretty much how your focuses are going to go from here. And so yeah, just don't deviate from that, and we'll start off. Once you've got the air XP for it as well, you can jump into your officer corps and get the industry liaison spirit. And then on the other side, I like centralized control, helps your fighters out in their air battles. Perfect. So this also happens actually. You'll get this notification that you can't repeat the collaboration government mission. That's your cue to come back in and start rebuilding the network. Now you just have to remember to keep checking it and do that mission as soon as it gets to 50%. Now we can get the elusive gentleman. Another thing to mention, jump over to your planes and just sort of split up your air force a little bit, separate out the aircraft to where they need to be. And don't forget to split your fighter wings, so that way as you get the new aircraft, they're reinforcing, you're exercising your air wings and keeping them at full veterancy. Same thing with your navy too. Don't forget to add the new ships that you've built onto your task force and go ahead and exercise them up. Out of these two, I kind of prefer to align Romania first because it takes longer. So yeah, start up with that one. I mean, honestly, it's potato, it doesn't really matter. And then we've got the other Soviet spy, which we can add to Paris. And now you can see that we've got the 100% boost applied to the Construction 3. The same thing will happen when Industry 2 is completed. So go ahead and just start that tech. Look, it does take a long time, but you're going to get a 1939 tech sort of just as 1938 starts. Now, from here, with your political power, it's worth getting one of the chief of your armies and then the chief of the air force to start getting that XP coming in even faster. Then you also want to go for the corrupt steel to help your like rushed researchers. It'll help with your industry techs, getting them done faster. Then after you get those done, I think it's worth going for the Messerschmitt designer. Around that time as well is when you should be taking one of your research slots and starting to get the improved airframe and engine level 3. Okay, so the basic medium tank design has finished. From here, you can rush the 1940 tech if you really want to, but from here I think it's more useful to either keep going down your research tree or go for some of your artillery techs. But first you want to get the paratrooper tech. Then you can jump in here, get rid of the Panzer 3. We're using the Panzer 4 here. What you want to do, you can leave the close air support, or the close air support. You can leave the close support gun on. You want to make sure you've got the 3-man turret, the radio. Smoke launchers are fine. You can also go ahead and add on extra ammo storage. Add on the interleaved road wheels, riveted armor, and you've got a tank at a 10.8 production cost, 55 breakthrough, and then just add a production line of about 15 of those below your fighters there. Here we go. So now we can rush that. Now, once you get a decent bit of army XP, you can of course go for your doctrines. That's always going to be really helpful to do. But you're also going to want to get the motorization drive. Once you start making your, like you can get this, make your tank template up to what you want it to be, and then just change it off again. The state serves the military is also really handy. It reduces your conscription law cost and gives you more political power. Personally, one of my favorites. Or you can also come in here and get the political loyalty if you're wanting to hire some more generals. Like they pretty much cost 100 political power each at this point if you are going to want to promote one. In terms of the other spirit that you're going to want to get, maneuver warfare is always good for the extra speed. That's really helpful, particularly for your tank divisions. Honestly, entrenchment is one of my favorites too. Also, the flexible org reduces your organization loss while moving, particularly if you find that you're getting a lot of breakthroughs and you're just running for the hills. That's really handy too. This is basically what we're going to go for our tank division. So yes, the org is low right now. As we get through the doctrines, that's going to jump up to like 40 or 50. So ignore that. Engineers are good for the terrain bonuses they provide. Obviously the AA to reduce enemy CAS damage, but you're going to have a load of fighters anyway, so you could also do without the motorized AA. The motorized infantry, we're eventually going to phase out for mechanized infantry as we start producing them. You may have noticed earlier that we have a 100% bonus to our mechanized tech. Also, another thing I wanted to show you guys, another neat trick that you can do is you can go ahead and just duplicate your tank division. Just make it full of motorized, and then as long as it's the same combat width, I'm pretty sure you can do this with infantry as well, but you know, you can basically just queue up a bunch of production for these divisions. Once you exercise them up to level 3 veterancy, then you can convert them into the Panzer division and they're not going to lose any of their veterancy, sorry. So it's just a way of training your tank divisions a lot faster. Remember how I said to keep an eye on your spy agency and don't forget to run the operations as soon as you're at 50%? Well, I forgot. Set that up to commence when ready and automatically repeat. At the moment, we've got about 30%. Yeah, 30% collaboration in France. You'll be able to do 2 or 3 more of these and then swap over to Poland. Now we've aligned Romania and Hungary. I know I said we were going to go down to our research slot, but we have the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact available because we've been rushing our infantry and deploying them. You want to do this as soon as possible. There's basically a 2-year cooldown on the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, meaning the later you do it, the longer you have to wait to declare war on the Soviets. The longer you leave them, the stronger they get, and then just continue back on with your research slot. Another thing that you're going to want to do is once the Spanish Civil War is almost over, just do some zoomies back over here to Japan. You can go ahead and send them an attaché. That basically means that your war support is not going to drop back down to 49%, meaning you've got to come off war economy. You can also send them volunteers like land divisions if you really want. I personally am just going to send them air volunteers, and you can also see here that our civilian factories, or like the 3 stacks that we started at the beginning of the game, are done. You kind of want to build to around 50 civs as Germany. We've got 41 right now. This would finish it off to 50. So at this point, we're going to start making mills. We are also going to have to build refineries just a little bit, just enough to get us across to the war with the UK. Honestly, you could get away, if you like to live dangerously, with not building synthetic refineries to get rubber, so long as you have enough fighters to cap the UK when the war starts. The danger with that is, if for whatever reason something goes wrong and you get bogged down in France, or you for some reason lose the air war, then it's going to be very hard for you to play catch up. So I very much prefer to err on the side of caution and just queue up some refineries and then pair that up with military factories as well. So I'll kind of just do like a split like this. When you cap the UK, you're going to get like Malaysia, you're going to get Sri Lanka and everything, and you're going to get all of that rubber. You won't need the refineries. But, you know, if you're playing a proper multiplayer game where that's not allowed, the refineries are essential. And Moscow signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. So if you actually have a look at Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, will be removed after the 24th of September 1939. So that's when we can declare war on them at the earliest, which is so good. But if you've ever played the Soviets, you would know you're not in a state to go to war with Germany at that point in time. Now we've finished researching our paratroopers, we want to set up a division template, make it something that's around 20 width. Like, we are going to need them to have enough strength to actually take a port if it's garrisoned. So making 2 width paratroopers isn't really an option in this case. Now, we have our mountaineers here, that were the volunteers that came back from Spain. We are going to go ahead and convert as many of them as we can to paratroopers. At this point, we've got some extra political power. We can go ahead and go up to the next level of conscription if we want to. Now, this is a little trick here. So we've got 60% collaboration in France. The next collaboration government mission that we do is going to give us 30% collaboration, bringing us up to 90. After that, we can get to 100% collaboration if we really, really want to. I personally don't think it's worth it. It's going to use a lot of your civs, a lot of equipment. Have your spies that are running the mission, or even just one of the spies running the mission, stay in France to keep your intel strength. And then put your other 2 spies over in Warsaw. From here, we're going to do the rubber processing techs as well. One of the focuses you can do later will give us a 300% bonus and significantly increase our rubber output for our refineries. If you're playing a game where you need the rubber from them, these 2 focuses are well worth doing. Otherwise, you can kind of ignore them. Also, in terms of your infantry template, something like this is all you need. Honestly, the AA is also optional because you will have air supremacy. I just like it because it has enough piercing to destroy the early tanks. From here, I am going to get the Messerschmitt designer. And then once the dispersed industry is done, aircraft here. So yeah, 400 days seems like a lot, but it is really important, particularly the engine and the airframe. That's what's really going to give you the edge. So go for that. Now you can see our industry at this point. We've just completed both of the focuses, which give us the bonus, like the bonus factories here. And then you can see we've got almost 4 full stacks of civilian factories working away. And we have our production of transport planes coming on through. You are going to have to trade more rubber for it, but it's worth it. Remember, for your paratroopers, you need 50 transport planes per division. Alrighty, so we've just finished our extra research slot. Now, from here, 1st of July 38, we pretty much have enough time to go Anschluss, down through the Czech focuses, and then Research, Eastern Claims, and Danzig War. So pretty much these are what you're going to go for now. You should have about 5 full armies in a field marshal group here, sort of spread them across Poland and France and whatever. Then you'll also have maybe 1 extra army at this point if you've done it right. So at this point, you kind of stop producing infantry for a little while. You're going to get a lot of guns to make up for your deficit once you capitulate. Well, once you take over Austria, Czechoslovakia, Poland, France, and everything, you're going to end up with so much equipment, you won't know what to do with it. For your military high command advisors as well, it's worth getting the army logistics guy and the infantry specialist. I mean, you're not necessarily attacking with the infantry heaps, but they are worth it. And then, of course, you want to make sure you get Erwin Rommel before you go to war with the Soviets. So I just want to show you this as well. At the moment, we've got 105 factories once Anschluss happens. Okay, so we've got about 25 factories just for nothing. One thing that's worth mentioning as well, you can go onto free trade or export focus as Germany if you want to, which is going to help your construction speed. I just find that I'm putting my political power towards other things. But yeah, that is an option. Now at this point as well, just keep an eye on your logistics. As you can see, we're missing quite a bit of like support guns. So, you know, just up your equipment accordingly. Like just adding a few extra factories on these will cover you off, no worries. Alrighty, Checo has folded and, well, I mean, they technically haven't, but everyone else has just given them to us. You can do any of these. I just am going to take it all. Hey, it's a German world and everyone else is just living in it right now. At this point, you are really wanting to set yourself up for the war there. This one army group over here, you can honestly just put the rest of your troops on a field marshal line. We're not going to be calling in Romania and Hungary for the Poland part. We're basically just going to pop everyone on a big front line. These guys are just going to absolutely steamroll through here. Just wait and see. Now we've completed our armored cars. We can jump back in and start our research for the next level of tank chassis. So also just pop in a production line of maybe like 10 of these. Classic me, once again, I've forgotten to keep doing the collaboration government in Poland. But look, honestly, we got one, which is really good. So we are just going to have our spies set off on that mission. And then the other 2 spies that we have, we're going to start building a collaboration government in the Soviet Union. We are now going to go for the Danzig war focus. So yeah, there's really no like waiting around until you think that you're ready. Like you need to do this pretty much as early as possible. Now is also a really good time to set up your navy. Basically just put them on the strike force in this region to make it a little bit harder for them to naval invade you. And then you also want to get your air force set up as well. So pretty much got our 20 wings here. We are going to move half of them to Western Poland. We are going to put our TAC bombers there. We're also going to bring back our TAC bombers from Japan. We are going to get the rest of these fighters split up between these regions because the British will just attack you straight away. Okay, so we just finished the heavy MG engines and improved small airframe. We are going to do our updated design. You want to go double cannon, heavy MG, 2 sets of heavy MGs, 1 engine 3, and then you're going to go 2 sets of armor plates. And of course, make sure the model is correct. Cool, so this is what your design is. Replace our current production. On top of that as well, about 25 factories is all you're going to need on fighters to beat both the UK and the Soviets. Poland is talking mad. So what we're going to do, firstly for our focus, we're going to go for around Maginot and then Operation that will give us the focuses on Norway and Denmark. We're pretty much just going to go for Denmark right now, but then come up and do the anti-Comintern Pact, and then we're pretty much going to go straight onto war with the USSR. So we'll just make sure all of our divisions are set up and ready to go. Make sure all of our battle plans are active, our ships are on, our air forces are on. Yeah, and we can pretty much declare war. France and the UK. Now, don't call in any of your allies yet. You want to capitulate Poland first. You want to be doing this as quick as possible. So it can be handy to micro your tanks, especially at the start. You want to cap them ASAP. Anytime we meet resistance, we'll just drive around them. Just doing encirclements without even trying, honestly. And there we go. So they've capped. You would have seen my tank division earlier, like, oh, it's only got like 30 org. 40 org now because we've gotten so many of our doctrines done and there's even more to come. So yeah, that's good design. Leave me alone. Bring your entire army over to here. Again, pause the game while you do this because your biggest danger is taking too long doing any of this setup and then one of the like puppets of the UK getting strong enough that they're classified as a major. Okay, and yes, you want to accept the partition of Poland. You don't want the Soviets getting angry at you earlier than you want them to. Look, most of our armies here, we can just send it. None of our divisions have org yet. That's a bit of a boo-boo on my behalf. There we go. They've capped already. And then we can do the same thing for Belgium. And then at this point, you want to call Italy in the war because there's going to be a bucket load of French troops over here and you want them to be anywhere but here. All right, so we've just completed our 1940 tank chassis and we even have a bonus for 1943s. And then coming to your tank design, we're gonna put the medium cannon on this time, the radio, and then extra ammo storage for extra breakthrough. Gonna keep the riveted armor. Again, you just want them to be cheap. And then add the interleaved road wheels, keep that engine. And yeah, that's pretty good. Luxembourg's gone. And oh, we actually have a Dunkirk. Oh, look at this. We have an actual Dunkirk. All right, let's not make the same mistakes that certain people who will remain unnamed have made. Let's go. Ah, this is so funny. I rarely have this happen. There's going to be no boats crossing the channel. Not in this timeline. There goes one. Oh no, I think they did make it out. Damn it, they did make it. Damn it, that was actually. That was like a true to life Dunkirk. That's so annoying. We've taken over France. Look, you can take it all. You can establish Vichy if you want, if it's in the game rules you're playing in a multiplayer, but like I'm gonna take it all here. For the rest of our troops, just click on them all and move them all to a port. The other thing we're gonna do as well is justify and declare on Ireland just to take out them. And now, this is what's really important. Basically, you just need to move your paratroopers and your transport planes to an airport that's close enough that you can actually paradrop into the UK. The way you want to set this up, pretty much you should have around 10 to 12 divisions right now. So just have 3 divisions landing on each of these tiles like I am. So basically what you're doing, there are 2 ports here that you're encircling to try and take, and that's Dover and Portsmouth. So whichever one you get, that's fine. Now, the good thing about paratrooper invasions, you don't really need that much time to prepare them. The one thing you do need to be mindful of is you need to have supremacy in every region that those paradrops are going to pass through. The AI won't contest us in the Benelux, so we can basically put 1 air wing down here. There are a couple of ways you can do it. Right now, the AI actually doesn't have any planes in southern England or the Channel, or the Benelux for that reason, so they're the 3 air zones that you need to control. What we can do is we can hit activate on the order, or while the game's paused, we can put the majority of our planes in southern England, and we'll take maybe like half of these. And then what we can do is put like maybe 5 of these wings in the Channel. It's the same sort of thing with the Navy, where if you set up your orders, unpause the game, for a split second, you'll have air supremacy and all of your paratroopers should go. So we've got that all set up now. And if we unpause the game, perfect. Most of them landed. They just managed to get us before these last 2. That's fine though. As soon as they land, pause the game. They've actually not garrisoned Dover or Portsmouth, so what we're going to do is you want to basically move out from the landing zone. We've got 1 division that's going to secure Portsmouth. We'll have this other division that secures Dover. These guys can just run straight up to London, and then we'll have these guys pinning these divisions here. And if we press play, there we go. Our other paratroopers arrived. So we could basically just have them push up. Oh, they do have troops in Portsmouth now. So we actually need a couple of divisions to attack there. These are the Dunkirk guys. Okay, cool. As soon as you secure that port, all these troops that are on these ports here, just put them on a field marshal order, draw an attack order to the north, from Dover straight up to Scotland. Again, you can also just use your tank divisions to scoot through and capture all of those key cities that we're going to need. Again, the race here is against any other puppets becoming a major. Now, don't forget as well, which again, I literally just forgot, run your operations to put collaborations in the Soviet Union. Oh, just right on time. Perfect. So yeah, that's pretty much how you can easily cap the UK, and that's pretty consistent. Like, that'll work most games that you do. More than likely in your multiplayer games, you're not going to be allowed to do this, but it's a single player game. I think it's worth taking out the Soviets, because once you take out the Soviets, America is just 1 step away. Hop, skip, and a jump. So you can come over here and just justify and declare on them pretty much immediately, and that's going to be all the democratic powers gone from the world. From here, let's just have a quick look. Oh, look at all these resources. Look at this. You're going to have a lot of factories on your infantry equipment. We also have a lot of them in stockpile. So what I would recommend from here, you can also take your factories off transport planes now. You don't need your paratroopers anymore. We are going to be producing a lot more AA and RD. Fighters are not really going to be an issue. The main problem we're going to run into is our tanks and stuff. We also have the war goal in Denmark, so we're just going to take that. But in any case, you want to bring the main part of your army over to the Soviet front. You are also going to have a absolute crap load of civilian factories. What you're going to want to do is start preparing, like, for example, airports, your supply lines as well. From here, things get a little bit less structured. It's the war with the Soviets. You want to be attacking with your tanks and special forces and stuff. You don't want to be attacking on an entire front line. Okay, so Denmark's fallen. From here, you basically want to work on making sort of as many tank divisions as you can really pump out at this point. We've got these divisions here ready to convert into tanks that should be like full veterancy or whatever. We're still a few in the hole, so yeah, having around 50 factories on your tanks and 25 on maybe even like 30, 40 on your mechanized should get you well on your way. But yeah, you still want to be producing pretty much just mills only from here. Alrighty, so we have come down and we've done the anti-Comintern Pact, so we can do the war with the USSR now. One little tip for you as well, just before you're about to declare war with a major power, you can do these like 2 cryptology things on the bottom right of your tree. So that will actually, if they've decrypted your cipher, that will like scramble it for a bit. So it actually gives you a bit of an opportunity to, yeah, start off the war with their cipher decrypted, but them not having done yours. Also, just a friendly reminder to go through and replace your motorized with mechanized. Okay, so 2 things just happened. We got the improved medium airframe done and the war with the USSR focus done. So after that, I mean, from here, honestly, you can kind of do whatever you want. You can do your naval ones to get more dockyards like you would ever fucking need them. You can come over and integrate the war economies, which is also a good one to do. So, war with the Soviets, we've got 30,000 guns in the stockpile, which admittedly is not really enough. In any case, the plan here is we are basically going to, like, it's April right now, so winter has passed. I always get confused. In Australia, winter is obviously not the same time of year. What we're going to do is we are just going to look for key points in the line that we could potentially encircle a lot of their divisions. Okay, we've got our tanks here. We want the staff office plan because we want their planning bonus to build up super quick. We are also going to set up our paradrops. The thing you need to be mindful of when you're setting up your paradrops, the AI is going to defend any victory points or supply hubs themselves. But what we can do, well, not every single victory point, but a lot of them. What we can do though, is we can drop in these areas, not too far away from the front line. So if we can do a paradrop something like this, that gives us the opportunity to potentially encircle all of these divisions. Good news is there's only 1 air zone that we need to capture, and we're going to declare war. We've got our next collaboration government preparing, go for war bonds. We are going to call Hungary, Romania, and Italy. As soon as our paratroopers are there, launch, and then we'll also attack with our tanks. We've landed. Hopefully our men survive. Also realizing we want to be support attacking here, not necessarily full attacking. And then we will of course do air supply to make our paratroopers not die instantly. That paradrop went pretty well though, if I'm being completely honest. We just need to take one of these. And there we go. That was a really good paradrop order. You absolutely don't have to be using paratroopers in this, by the way. I'm more doing it for fun. So just taking a quick look at the casualty numbers, they've lost 90,000 men right now. And then let's see after all these pockets are closed, how much that goes up to. That was like 300,000 men. Again, a 3-to-1 ratio on airplanes. They're not going to be able to keep up. Now this down here as well, around Lwów, I don't know how to pronounce that properly. That's also another really good pocket that you can take and encircle a lot of Soviet divisions. Again, we've got our tanks ready. We'll fire them off on an order. We'll get our men to attack here, and our paratroopers have landed. Absolutely sensational. There we go. Already cut them off. There we go. Oh, and another, I don't know how this happened. Was that part of what I did? What the hell is going on here? I'm so confused. I'm just going to get my men to attack because we have the supremacy and I don't know what the Hungarians are doing. Look at this here. Almost another, that was almost 20 divisions we had in this pocket. One thing you're going to have to watch when you start attacking the line is how many green bubbles do you have versus the red bubbles? Are your casualties quickly piling up? Is your infantry equipment just absolutely plummeting? So yeah, those things are really going to dictate if you're going to be able to sustain a long-term battle plan. Okay, we've got our troops here and we will just launch that attack. Oh my goodness, imagine if we encircle all of these troops. Problem here is we don't have enough troops to up, and there we go, encircled. We're going to lose a tank division. We lost a tank division. That's what I get for being cheeky. Integrate war economies is done. Yes, Hungary and Romania have both become our puppets. Amazing. Once you start getting these encirclements and everything, it is pretty much done. Point as well, winter is coming up very soon. And even though we are in an infantry equipment deficit, we are going to just attack on battle plan with the bulk of our army. We want to take as much land as we possibly can, mainly because we are advancing quite well right now. Casualty-wise, definitely trading well. Honestly, at this point, casualties don't matter. Well, not to me anyway. And oh, look at us, we're so close to Moscow. Will Moscow fall in the snow? I mean, remember, in real life, this is where the Germans faltered. They could see the outskirts of Moscow before they had to stop for the winter. So, yeah, look, no, this is a bit of an alternate timeline, this one. Let's go. All right, how about our Stalingrad offensive? Oh, let's encircle the city if we can. Come on. It's about to fall. Would love to cut off some troops if we can. Well, we'll take it. We'll take it. It's fine. Oh, I think that's it. There you have it. That was a surprisingly easy Russia war. I'm just that good, apparently. German Reich. Greater German Reich. Nice. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. That is just the way I like to do it. Feel free to play around and let me know in the comments if you have a different method of playing Germany. Yeah, look, I think at this point you are powerful enough that you could pretty much do a world conquest and take over everything else. Like at this point, all that's left is really the USA, and you could just put your troops on the border with Canada, justify and declare on them, and you would roll them pretty easily. So yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope it helps you out. Let me know in the comments if there's any other sorts of videos that you guys want me to make. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Also, like and subscribe. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment down below, boost me in the algorithm, help me out. Yeah, love you. Bye.